We're good? Thank you, Millie. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of New Shoreham Town Council meeting for Wednesday, July 20th. You good? Thank you, Martha. All good. Try again. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of New Shoreham Town Council meeting for Wednesday, July 2nd, 2022. I'll call this meeting to order at 7:05. Item number 1 on the agenda is public comment. Does anybody have any public comment on items that are not currently on the agenda before us this evening? Hearing none. Item number 2 on the agenda is continued item from June 29th, 2022. A shows cause hearing regarding the potential motorized bicycle, tricycle, and scooter license suspension of the license of Finnemore and Fisher doing business as Island Moped for alleged violation of New Shoreham General Ordinances, Section 828-82 tags, Act on Findings of Fact and Decision. We are going to have to continue this item because we do not have an official stenographer in the room. I think right now the tentative date for that, the date is for that would be August 1st. So I'll make a motion to continue item 2 until August 1st.
Second.
Seconded by Sven. Comments, questions on that? All those in favor, Keith,
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
I am in favor, Sven. Motion will carry the continuation to August 1st on item number 2. Thank you.
Do you want to bring to the council's attention the fact that we're going to stipulate as to the following findings of fact by the licensee? Okay.
I want to thank you for coming this evening.
Sorry about
Um,
that. It's bad.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the continuance.
Item number 3 is continued an item from July 11th, 2022. Discuss and act on Motor Vehicles for Hire Commission recommendation to add a temporary fuel charge to the taxi rate. This came up at our, obviously, the July 11th meeting, and we wanted to just see some taxi folks. I see some in the room. Does anybody want to speak to that? Patrick or Sue?
Well, the reason we went with the dollar is.
Susan, could you step up to the mic? Yeah. And I will ask everybody who wants to speak this evening to step up to the mic and identify your name for the record.
Sue Milliken.
Thank
So
you,
can you
Sue.
just make sure the button's on, it's a little light.
Well, it's green. Oops.
Good. It works.
It's on. I guess the reason we went with the dollar is because that's what we did like 7 years ago. And that's just to, help us out with the fuel, because we had no idea the fuel was going to be going so high.
So my question is on the date. Right now, I think it goes pretty far into the fall. And we don't know what's going to happen with gas prices. I mean, it could go up or down, or who knows.
I don't remember what the date was. What was the date that we asked for? Was it?
I'll see it.
Right.
Oh, I don't know.
And I'd love to say, let's revisit it September, the first
I think
meeting in
that would be-
September.
That would be great.
Okay.
That
I just
would be
think
great.
whether
I
it
think
goes
we
up
just
or
did
down.
that. We
um,
just kind of did that to thinking it would be, a quieter time, but that's a great idea.
Okay, so
Great
we
idea.
can change that to September 1st. Then the second question though, and it seems to be, I think next year as we set the rates, and I don't know if everybody else recalls the same, we set a rate of $11 for, I think the first zone, right? And it's a little unclear as to whether that includes state tax or does not include
It
state
does
tax.
not, we are
So-
not passing the state tax on to the customer. We are paying that
Right.
ourselves.
So I'm just saying, when we made the $11, I don't think we clarified whether it was or wasn't. And so then the rate technically would really be $10 and whatever
Oh,
it is.
Well, I know that we're not charging,
I know.
but I don't know if it's. on
Right.
there.
I just think next year when we do it, we have to be very clear as to
Okay.
pre-tax, after tax, because
Well, I'm pretty sure on our thing, it says.
I'm pretty sure it
includes.
doesn't.
I think on our rate sheet, it does say it includes the state tax.
I'm not sure when we actually, I looked into it. When we actually looked and voted on it, it wasn't clear.
Oh, okay.
And so that's all. I just want to make sure it's clear so that
Okay. I'm pretty
suddenly it's not $11.07 and $1. So just clarifying for the future.
I'm pretty sure it's on. Doesn't it say that? I'm pretty sure on our rate sheet, it says, thank you very much. There we go. Yeah.
but it doesn't.
So we are, we're not passing that on to the.
I just want to, Bill, before I give you a comment, I just want to we're here to vote on $1 on the rate and we're not gonna we can talk about that later. So if you want to just keep your comments to the dollar on that rate, that's what we're voting on tonight.
Okay.
Bill, do you have a question? Thank you. Any more comments, questions from the council? I'll entertain a motion if you want to.
I'll make a motion to extend a temporary fuel charge of $1 to the taxi rate for each trip with reevaluation of the need by the Motor Vehicles for Hire Commission in the first meeting of September.
Thank you.
Second. Motion been made second. Comments? Bill?
So can you clarify for the council what the rate is?
I know they're all different, so. For a zone.
That includes tax, correct?
Sorry.
Tax, I'm sorry, that includes,
Yeah.
$11 includes tax, but the council sets it too, man. I understand that, the council sets it, so I just wanna make sure that it's clear. I'll talk louder. So 11%, $11 includes the tax also, yeah? Is that correct? Is that what the council voted on?
That is my understanding.
That's okay. Thank you. That's correct.
That's correct.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
Martha? I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Motion will carry 3-1 with an abstention from Councilor Ball.
And absent Mark.
That's all right. Item number 4 on the agenda is act as the Board of License Commissioners to discuss and act on a request for a Class F license for Two Roads Brewing Company for an event at the Block Island Club in July 30th, 2022, from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Millie, is there anybody online to?
No, they were not offered
No attorney. Are they here? Is there anybody in the room from Two Roads Brewery? Okay. So we have a request from Two Roads Brewery. It's Two Roads Brewery will host the third Shore to Pour at the Block Island Club on Saturday, July 30th, 2022. The 5K race will benefit the Block Island Club. The race will start and finish at Town Beach. The course runs along the coast and back down. They've come up with a safety plan. I think they're just basically asking us for a Class F on item number 4, which will continue into 5 for another request. Council have any questions, comments?
I do. I have to say this, it pains me to say this as someone who, we're actually members of the Block Island Club, but I just feel like right now, given what we're seeing in town, the idea of having an additional server of beer at 10:30 in the morning, I just, if we're gonna get serious in terms of a community conversation around alcohol from the town and licensees and police, et cetera, I don't feel comfortable voting for this.
Thank you, Keith.
I think it, 10, God, I sound like an old Baptist, but my God, 10 o'clock in the morning, that's ludicrous.
Sven, do you have any comment on the topic?
No.
Okay. I mean, I agree. We're trying to clean up, kind of. Well, I agree with what the other counselors said. I'll leave it at that. I'll make a motion to deny the request for a Class F license for Two Roads Brewing Company for an event at the Black Lion Club on July 30th, 2022, from 10 o'clock a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Second,
Seconded by Sven. All those in favor, Sven?
yes, and I wish they had attended the meeting. That to me is a really big deal because they did ask Millie and they could have been here. So
Thank you, Sven. I'm in favor of the motion. Martha?
I'm in favor of the motion and the fact that they're not, they should have come, but that is not, has nothing to do with why I'm voting the way I am. I don't think it's an appropriate event. I haven't, we just can't keep sanctioning things like this.
Thank you, Martha. Keith?
Yes.
Motion will carry 4-0. Item number 5 is discuss and act on a request of Two Roads Brewing Company for permission to bring an Airstream trailer to Block Island in connection with the beer services at the Shore to Pour Race, July 30th, 2022. I will make a motion to deny the request of Two Roads Brewing Company for permission to bring an Airstream trailer to Block Island in connection with a beer service at the Shore to Pour Race, July 30th, 2022.
second,
Seconded by Sven. Any discussion? All those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes, and again, we've been talking about, or we've been thinking about all of the issues and all of the imaging, and we're talking Shore to Pour is unacceptable.
Thank you, Martha. I'm in favor of the motion. Sven?
Right.
Motion will carry 4-0. Item number 6, discuss an
I'm
act.
sorry.
Oh.
Millie, you're gonna get back to them because obviously it's in 20 days, right?
She's got time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sven. Item number 6, discuss and act on a recommendation from the Motor Vehicles for Hire Commission to grant a 2022-2023 taxi license to Annie Hall. We have a recommendation before us. It reads, at the meeting of the Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire held July 12th, 2022, the commission moved to recommend the town council grant a vacant taxi license to Ann Hall for the 2022-2023 license year. Thank you. Any comments from the council? Any comments from anybody from taxi? You guys are not, yeah, okay, thank you. I will make a motion to, I'll make a motion to grant a vacated taxi license for the year 2022, 2023 to Ann Hall.
Second,
Seconded by Sven. Comments? Council? All those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
Martha? I'm in favor, and
aye,
motion will carry 3-0, nothing with the extension of Counselor Ball. Item number 7 is to receive and act on a report from the town manager, Public Works, Finance, School, Library, Recreation, Administration, Harbors, Broadband, Police, and Roads. Mary Ann?
thanks. Sue.
Thank you, Susan.
It is a little short this year, but this will. A lot of staff are out busy doing a number of things. Harbors has had a great stretch since the beginning of this summer. New Harbor rental mornings have been pretty busy, and they've also been renting about 20-25 private mornings. Old Harbor has been steady, but they're not seeing record numbers. The good news, Kate has reported that even with all the visitors, the past few, since the beginning of the summer, that there has been no incidents. Recreation Department also is extremely busy. One of the programs they're doing this year is a 6-week drama arts program. Dave said it's been well received, and a lot of the adults are asking he would run such a program for adults. I did reach out to RIDOC concerning the possibility of a painted crosswalk at Baby Beach. This was brought up by the council on a couple of occasions. RIDOC has asked that I provide aerial photos of the locations, so I am working on that. They did remind me that the crosswalk must be approved by State Traffic Commission. Unless I hear otherwise, I plan to proceed with that application. I've advised the council on June 30th that we received many phone calls and inquiries and 10 applicants for the police chief's position. The interviewing team consisted of Chief Mello from Jamestown, the town administrator from Charleston, Mark Stantuit, and also myself, Millie, and Mona. At that time, I asked that all candidates be kept confidential with the interviewing team. The process was narrowed down to a pool of 5 with interviews on the 7th. Unfortunately, one did withdraw his application just hours before interview on the 7th. We had another interview on the 13th and a second interview also on the 13th. Unfortunately, Millie could not attend the interviews in the 13th. I'm in the final stages of vetting the candidate that I hope to bring forward to the council. I may ask for a special meeting to do that. Also, just a reminder to everyone that may not be aware of this, motor vehicles taxes, they were phased out this year, finally got phased out. The town will be made whole with revenue from the state. So folks, don't look for a tax bill for motor vehicles this year. You will get it for your real estate, but you won't get it for motor vehicles. And I've attached some information for the council. We're very pleased to report that Senator Reed has moved forward with our request for congressional direct spending appropriation to the next phase. That doesn't mean we have the funds. It's for the Block Island Fire Bond for, I think it was $3 million. So we'll see what happens from here. There's a number of steps that need to go through this process, and we won't hear until as early as the earliest we'll hear would be October, November timeframe, but it may also not be. We will not find out possibly until well after the first of the year. That's, I think, it I have for my town manager's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Ann. I just want to clarify in your report, it says Millie and I received an inquiry from First Warden Andre Boudreau regarding a specific candidate who was interviewed. That kind of implies that I had I knew of somebody and I was pushing for somebody, which couldn't be further from the case or the truth. I'm going to read and I want to submit for the record. I want in the minutes the email I did send to Millie and Mary Ann, and it goes as follows. I understand, this says, good evening. This was sent on the 6th of July at 9:50 p.m. It says, good evening, Millie and Mary Ann. I understand that police chief interviews will be conducted tomorrow. I wanted to let you know that I have received a handful of calls from respectful people in support of an applicant. Words attributed to this applicant were, quote, be there a long time, great leader, will fit in well. Needless to say, given the events of the past week, I am thrilled to have such a qualified candidate with strong recommendations apply for this crucial position at this crucial time. I am hoping he will be interviewed tomorrow. So I don't know who was interviewed. I was just putting forth that I had gotten some from people that some nice things were said about an applicant. I don't know who was interviewed. I don't favor any particular candidate because I don't know any of the candidates that were interviewed. And I want that to be abundantly clear to the public. Thank you. Council, any more comments on the town manager's report? Keith?
Could we at a meeting?
Are you looking for this?
I mean, as a practical matter,
What do you want?
for someone. I do pay a lot of attention. But it would be very helpful to go through and ask questions.
Can we do that in August? You said September. I'd like to do it earlier.
Tonight.
Yeah, I know.
I don't.
I think August would help as we get into the fall.
I think it's the most significant thing you do is tax people. So
The other thing is on, a couple of DOT things. One is, the Baby Beach crosswalk. I mentioned, I think actually, on the this morning, can we at least put one of those cones that says, watch for families? If we're, I understand the state traffic commission, it's something that makes people pay attention. Like, where you sit depends on where you stand. Now that I have a 2-year-old. Actually, like,
The plastic little tripod.
The CSOs put them on all the time. Two more things. One is, this rainbow crosswalk, for those who don't know, the project is, but that conversation would be so, they can work with. Oh, good, fantastic. And then the other thing is. Gotcha. Then the other thing is, what's the? For.
Counselor, I want to thank you for bringing up the crosswalk. It's something I brought up twice. I see Mary Ann writing it down. I asked for the same thing, little plastic thing, something. Parents have been coming to us, asking us to get that safer down there. I'm glad, Mary Ann, you took notes tonight. Maybe something will happen, but I will say I have asked for that twice. David Lewis?
David Lewis. Mary Ann, I was and Andre and councilors, I was very pleased to see the final notation in the sentence that the goal, I'm assuming as part of the interview process with each of the candidates, is to continue to build on the substantive progress in processes, visible police year-round, equitable and equal enforcement of all areas, and while attaining accreditation we began under our chief. So I thank you for that. And I would just like to hope also that that includes 12 months year-round island-wide enforcement of what I call the traffic and safety enforcement arenas. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Does anybody else have any comments on the town manager's report? Hearing none. Number 8 is discuss and act on boards, commissions, and committees, announce vacancies. A, Dear Task Force, there's three seats there. B, Motor Vehicles for Hire 1, that must not hold a taxi license. C is the Board of Canvassers, that's a 6-year term. D is the Recreation Board, and E is the Police Advisory Commission. I'm sorry, did I miss did somebody leave the Police Advisory Commission? Millie, did somebody recently leave the Police Advisory?
I should know the answer to this. I apologize.
Well, because I read this list off at every meeting.
I mean, I should know the answer to this.
It's hot, it's August.
And I believe Macomb is.
I'm just saying that I read this list every meeting and that's new.
Right, no, you're absolutely right, and I just can't, I mean, I obviously I added that to our list, but.
Molly O'Neill, can I ask you that? Did somebody recently leave the Police Advisory Commission?
I was just gonna ask you the same thing.
Okay, we'll investigate.
Don't look at us.
I mean,
Just got it, and it's just-
Thank you.
I know we have a meeting tomorrow, maybe.
We'll find out.
Maybe just try some words.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I think I may know the answer to that. If you remember correctly, the appointed 5 members and it was staggered 5 years.
It's me.
It's
Oh,
one
it's you,
year,
yes,
yes.
it is.
Oh.
Oh,
Sorry, it is Molly.
How you feeling, Molly?
I have the first time.
Are you gonna,
Ju-
are
on
you
the
gonna
way
stay
to
on?
click
We need a letter. We need a
next
letter.
before.
We need a letter to act on, I think.
Do you need a letter from me to
I-
say that I'd like to sign? Or-
I think if you want to stay on, I'd like to put you there now, but I do believe we need a letter to act on. But I wouldn't worry.
Can we, assuming the letter's coming, can we just,
So we have, you have a policy that you have to have a 30-day announcement when you have a vacancy. So that's why this is on the agenda. In the past, we have just taken, we have
carry it over?
approached expiring members and asked if they do want to continue to stay on. And then we pass that feedback on to the council. In this case, Tom will just pass the feedback on to you. So you can either choose to accept that or you can ask for it.
Thank you, Millie. Got that? Commissioner? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is an update from the town manager regarding the police chief search and act on the process for selection. I think we just got an update on the police chief search and act on process for selection. Any comments from the council?
So, I'm sorry, Marianne, timing is next week, if we're gonna have a special meeting, or what?
I don't
And
have
and
it.
do I, and when is current interim chief here through?
Those are the pieces I'm trying to finalize.
Okay.
I have a call into Colonel Weaver at this, and I haven't heard back from him, which is unusual.
I will note again. I sent a note to Mary Ann, July 15th. Basically says council needs to provide advice and consent. I was down at the Old Harbor yesterday afternoon and was told we have a new police chief. Given that the council needs to provide advice and consent, I ask please provide the following in advance of Wednesday's meeting so that the council has the information required to provide its input. One, a packet of each of the applicants, including resume, any references, including any verbal references, noting which were interviewed and which were selected for second interviews. Number two, the rubric for selection, along with the scores for each candidate, names and phone numbers of the search committee members, noting who attended each interview, any notes the search committee members can share, and any minutes from any meetings pertaining to the selection process. I was notified that advice and consent wasn't going to be asked for this evening, but I asked for those documents at the same time again. So Mary Ann, I'm wondering if you can tell us when you will be providing those documents to the town council.
At this point, unless I have a vote from 5 council members that they want those documents, we held these interviews in confidentiality. I don't think applicants' documents, resumes should be made available to the council, which means that a public document. Also, the charter specifies that I provide, the town manager provides the candidate and the town council provides advice and consent. I think these documents are confidential. I also maintain that if we make these documents public, that it may affect future candidates that apply for jobs within the town. I can tell you, we have a difficult time getting people to apply for jobs. Some people apply for jobs that are lateral and they don't want their current employer being aware of the fact they're applying for that job. So at this point, I would prefer not to provide those documents to the council.
So you're saying you're not going to give me the council those documents that I was asking for, unless you get a vote of 5 council members.
That's correct.
And one is missing this evening.
Well,
Our charter is very broad on advice and consent. And yet again, given that our police situation in this town, I think the town council has to throw a little more scrutiny into this process. That's my feeling on the whole thing. But I think it's actually appalling that you're going to sit there and say, deny us these documents.
Well, I will say that I don't think the charter is at all that broad, and I don't think the town council should be involved in this process, other than as outlined in the charter. I do not want to see the resumes. I am not in a position to evaluate them, and if I'm not in a position to evaluate them, I shouldn't be looking at them. I think we have issues of confidentiality. I think we have issues of integrity, and I've been through police chief searches before, and I don't remember ever getting anything of this nature. And I don't think it was done improperly in the past.
Thank you, Martha.
If I can, my concern about getting the documents, and I understand, the wanting to see the process and see it open. But my concern is if anybody has a job right now that's interviewing for this position and suddenly it gets out, that could really create a big problem for us in the future. I understand your goal, but I fear that could create a huge amount of issues. And I don't know, a little bit to Martha's point, that I have any more expertise than the team that was selected. So I guess I'm fine personally. But
Well, personally, as part of my advice and consent on this, I would like to interview candidates ourselves. It's our job to make sure that we have the best possible candidate for this job at this moment. So that's my feelings. And I think our advice and consent is very broad in the charter, and it is a change from past ways this has been happening. But policing in this town, to me, is the most important thing right now, because we have an interim police chief. He's going to come in to, quite frankly, what I feel and what a lot of the residents are feeling is a mess. We're worse off today than we were a year and a half ago. And we simply need to make sure, as the council, it's our duty to make sure that the absolute right person is hired for this job right now. This is why I've asked for this, so we can give informed, thoughtful, and consent, advice and consent. Keith?
A couple things. One is a practical question, and that is, are we going to have an opportunity to meet and sort of vet? I was thinking more frankly, meet and get to know the candidate before we're being asked to vote on the candidate. Okay. And the other thing is was there sort of a standard list of questions that were asked these guys? And that just really goes to, you know, yeah. So you'd prefer we not see that even, like, I'm just sort of
I think
wondering,
that-
because to me, there's a difference between having a dozen resumes that may become public. I mean, I get that puts not only the potential candidates in danger, but I get that. But in terms of sort of reflecting what our priorities might be in a selection like that, getting a sense of what the basic questions were, it seems to me to not cross the line that I thought you were articulating. And the other thing is, to be really honest with you, I'd like to meet the person.
Good. Any comments from the public? Molly O'Neill? Come on up to the microphone. No microphone. I'm pointing to the microphone.
So you have a committee that's doing the search, right?
We do.
Right. And so the search, are you on the search committee?
Yes, I am.
So you have a search committee, and Mary Ann's on the search committee. So it's even better than the committee making a recommendation to Mary Ann, who's then making a recommendation to you. She's part of the process. It shows like a lack of respect for your committee, I think. I mean, we have all these boards and committees in the town, and I mean, so are you going to do this on the next hire? So if you set up a committee to, like at the school, right? They set up hiring committees all the time, but then the recommendation is made, and if that person takes the job, great. If they don't, they go to the next person. And I imagine this is the same way.
No, it's advice and consent. We don't have to accept the recommendation.
Right. But I'm just asking, if you were to offer the job to the first person and they say, oh, I'm not going to take it,
I can't find a place to live. I don't want it, whatever, right? Then you move on to the next candidate, right?
Either that or do the search again.
I just think by you guys duplicating the process, you show like a lack of respect to the people that just went through this entire process and took time out of their day and went to a lot of meetings and interviewed a lot of people and asked important questions. And for you guys to just do the same thing all over again. And as far as the charter goes, I agree with Martha. Like, the charter says advice and consent, which you don't have to choose the person they chose, but it doesn't mean that you get to dig in and go back to the beginning. That's all.
Thank you. David?
You're right that you have the authority to advise and consent. It's my opinion that those words mean that your opportunity to advise in this circumstance, and I would say generally for any senior staff hiring, that your opportunity to advise is to offer your opinions and make sure it's very clear, in this case to the town manager, before she puts out the RFP for candidates, to have a roundtable with your town manager and let her know what your expectations are for the new chief, including your failed expectations from the last chief, the positives that you would want to carry forward, and any new other ideas you have with regard to advising her on the manner in which she proceeds. So you're a few weeks late on that, I think. I think you owe it to her now, who is the lead member of your brain trust in town hall, to give her the opportunity to fail or succeed. And we all hope it means succeed in this case, but she's earned that opportunity. If you just go back and think about when Chief Monahan was hired, I wasn't attending meetings at that particular time. I don't think by Zoom, I sort of don't remember. But anyway, it was very clear to me from the packet that was put together for your consent, when Mary Ann put the former chief's name before for your consent, not only did it include a 12-page resume, as well as Mary Ann's recommendation as town manager, but I assumed she would follow through with the same approach with this opportunity. And that yields your opportunity to consent or fail to, or to deny consent. So I think there's a lesson learned here to be taken forward on any senior staff hiring. Molly's point about putting confidence in the people that you've retained to form any committee is they're the responsibility of the town manager to deliver to your expectations. So it's important that you not cut her knees out from under her. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any other public comment? Molly?
Sorry. I forgot. I also wanted to say that I want to disagree a little bit about, I don't think we're in a worse place. I mean, this week seems like we're in a really bad spot since July. It's been a little bumpy. But I don't think we're in a worse spot than we were a year and a half ago. I just have to say that I think a lot of the things that Chief Moynihan put into place are incredible. And if every person who came through here and spent 2 years on Block Island made the credible, excellent changes that he did, we would be so much better off. He made great changes. Some of the things I know from being on police advisory are kind of incredible. Just changes he made within the police department. He did a fantastic job. It's a total disappointment that he left, but I think if the next person comes in and makes equally great changes, we'll be in a really great spot.
Thank you, Molly. Any more comments?
Yeah, since Molly brought it up, I agree completely. We are not in a worse place than we were. I think we're in a much better place, and now it's time to put the spotlight on it. We weren't in that position a year ago. We didn't have the strength that we have this year.
Thank
to
you,
do that.
Martha. And I guess my feeling is I don't share that confidence. David, I don't share that confidence. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I think it's great that we're not pretending
I just want to make sure we have the right guy. And it's incumbent upon the council to make sure we have the right guy. You want to go through the process that's going through now? I'm fine with that. I will participate in that. I did check with the attorneys about these requests and I was notified that they were, I was told that they were reasonable requests to ask of the town manager of the town council. Any more comments on the topic?
I guess the only comment I would have, and it goes back to Keith's comment and your word of rubric, I think the time to check the questions is when the list is made of questions, not, down the list. And so next position, I think that's a good thing to add to the conversation when we start a search. What are the questions you're going to ask to make sure it fits with the desires of the council? Good eye.
You good?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, no more comments? Next item on the agenda is update from the town manager regarding, no, sorry, 10 correspondence. Sarah and George Mott in support of Mary Ann Seebeck submitted, Chris Warfel, Entech Engineering regarding BIPCO and the building department practices. Both items have been submitted and they're on clerk base. Item number 11 is discuss liquor-related issues on the island and compliance check of liquor establishment by the police department on July 16th and 17th. Chief's not here. Mary Ann, are you gonna discuss this?
So on this past weekend, on July 16th and 17th, the New Shore Police Department conducted a compliance check. On Saturday, they conducted a compliance check for serving underage people to the restaurants. On the 16th, they conducted 6 compliance checks. I'm sorry, 7. 6 were not in compliant. On the 17th, they conducted a compliance check of 6. 2 were not in compliance. In recent weeks, it has been stated already here that we've seen a different type of atmosphere here in Block Island that we as a community, I don't think are really happy or pleased with. So we've been doing a number of things, and one was the compliance check. And this compliance check was strictly just that, a compliance check. We wanted to see where things were and how things were going. So we proceeded with doing that. Some of the other things, the chief hand-delivered notices to all those establishments that were not in compliance. We intend to continue, the police department continue to do some more compliance checks as we get through the summer. Again, the intent was more of an educational thing and working with the community and working with those establishments. So what we have, so when the chief hand-delivered all those notices, all the establishments, they were apologetic. They were pleased that he hand-delivered the notices to them. They were notified that we would have this discussion at this evening's meeting. So, and some of the things that we started doing on the town side also in order to address what we're seeing on the island. And one of the things I noticed, as most of you do, is I like to walk, so I'm walking all the time, is I've seen a number of open containers of alcohol. I know the police have beefed up issuing citations. Our town ordinance does not allow for open containers. It's a $75 fine. They have beefed up some of those citations. What also we're doing is we are in the process of working with South County Prevention Coalition of purchasing signs to remind the visitors that open containers and drinking of alcohol is against the law here in Block Island. We will also be providing some documentation to the local establishments that they'll be able to put in their establishments. The signs will be installed throughout the island to remind folks of that. The other thing I've done is I reached out to Interstate Navigation and I also reached out to the London Ferry. I asked both ferry companies since if they could possibly, when they exit the port, they always do their safety reminder to those folks on the boat. I've asked at the end of that safety reminder, could they possibly announce and remind those passengers that are on the boats that open containers and drinking in public, it's against the law in Block Island. And they have agreed to do that. So I'm looking forward to hearing that also. I think we need to remember we're a community. All of us are a community. We're all part of this community. And I think we need to work together on this. And I know myself and the chief is more than ready and willing to work with you folks and work with the rest of the community. We cannot do this by ourselves. We need the help of the community members here and some of the thoughts and ideas that the community members may have. But I think it's really important that we start this conversation now in light of what we have seen and what has happened with some of our visitors and what we've seen with the establishments. Again, it's a compliance check. We want to work with you folks and be sure that you're in compliance and how we can move forward from here.
Thank you, Mary Ann. James? So we have these in front of us. And obviously the community is, it's raw with the drinking in Block Island. So could you give us a rundown of what our legal options are at this time moving forward?
All right, thank you, First
James,
Ward.
Just before, can you just introduce yourself? And I don't think 80% of the people in this room may know who you are.
Sure.
So
My name is James Callahan. I'm one of the town solicitors for the town of New Shoreham. We started on July 1st. Happy to be here and happy to meet you all at some later date. But regarding the violations, as Mary Ann said, this was a compliance check conducted by Chief Shabbat. None of us were aware of that at the time that he decided to do that. I think it was a smart move in many respects to get that started. And especially in light of things that happened the past 3 or 4 weeks, the temperature's been turned up, and I think Chief Shabbat responded appropriately. At this point, the council can do a number of things. I think it'd be my recommendation that you encourage Chief Shabbat to continue with this process and move forward with further compliance checks, which actually, with the view of increasing those compliance checks to actual violation checks, which would result in potentially a show cause or a criminal violation for the people who serve those drinks at some later date. I think at this point, based on the compliance check result, the results are disheartening. But I think that some of the establishment owners and representatives are here tonight, and that I constantly hear just in the past few weeks and past few months is that everyone wants a seat at the table. And I think if you provide a seat at the table for these people to show that they are doing something to address these issues, you'll get more in the long run. I understand that it's probably an open wound now and you want to solve it or alleviate it immediately, but I would caution against, say, 7 show cause hearings immediately, because I don't think the penalty that you may get in that process would be severe enough to cause a suspension or revocation of the license. Not that you want that, but that is sort of what happens further. And if there is a show cause hearing, we do find there's a violation, some penalty gets imposed that's beyond what the owners think is necessary, they can immediately appeal to the DBR, and the DBR is not often in favor of revocations and suspensions. So that's more my issue going forward than your issue. I understand there's a lot of factors at play that will cause you to want to do something immediately and throw the hammer down, but I wouldn't recommend that right now. I think that an open dialogue with the members of the community and you and Mary Ann would be best served along with Chief Shabbat, because if I was one of the owners of one of these establishments, I'd be sure to be on notice, which Chief Shabbat has given them notice. And if anything happens in the future, say this weekend, tonight, tomorrow night, then there will be severe consequence. And I think I assume, not having spoken to most of you about the specific issue, that you feel the same way. So that's how I feel, but it doesn't take away your ability to have a show cause hearing for all 7 or all 6 immediately, but I'm not sure if that's the right way to go at this point, at this juncture.
Thank you. Stay there. I'm sure the council will have some questions for you. Keith, your hand up?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Sort of following up on a really important point that Mary Ann made and what James is saying. This is a community issue, community problem. And I was going to suggest that we ask the town manager to convene on Friday or Monday, a meeting with liquor license holders, police chief, ferry, rescue, and just and you know some of us, I guess, to have a conversation about what sorts of things we can do as a town, or licensees can do as licensees, to turn the temperature down and get things to a place that you know that is more acceptable. You know, compliance and threatening of licenses is, you know, as I was saying to somebody today, a very blunt instrument. I think I haven't spoken with a single liquor license holder in the last couple of weeks who isn't similarly concerned, you know, at the very least, about kind of the current environment. So I think, you know, my sense is that people would be very willing to engage in this conversation. It might be, you know, as simple as, you know, can you send more, can you have more of a patrol presence, you know, on Saturday afternoons where we are? You know, I don't know what shape it's going to take, but it seems to me that a community conversation with the license holders and the police and policymakers would make a lot of sense.
Keith, yeah, hold on, Sven. Keith, to that point, we were advised by Matt Moynihan last year that if we were to enforce everything, like the liquor laws, and send in the blue, I'll say, to all the things that people complain to us that we need the blue for, we would need a hell of a lot more patrolmen on the streets. So I think that's what you're getting at, Keith, was, you know, we want to keep do that, but we're gonna need more police. I mean, we were told that. So, I mean, next budget season, I hope we don't forget any of this discussion, which we tend to kind of do.
So I mean, I get where you're coming from. That's actually not, I wasn't saying we need more police officers, though we may. But I like to think that, for example, what I've witnessed riding my bike on Water Street with people, you know, literally falling off the curbs this summer, and so on, is something that if we all have a collective seriousness of purpose, we can start to figure out together. Not to, I mean, look, if there are violations of law, we have to deal with that. But I think we do have a record of, you know, the ferry has done stuff over time. Nearly every owner has done stuff over time. The licensees, many of them expend a great deal of energy and resources on trying to run good places and operate in good faith. So for me, I think a conversation that demonstrates that we're all concerned about this, and that we all have a responsibility for making the island a safer place on some of these crazy days, is an essential part of moving forward. That's
Sven?
So as I think everybody in the room, or most people in the room, know, I actually called all the liquor license holders, and sometimes I had to leave a message to let them know that the agenda item was added on Monday. And it was really just so that somebody couldn't say we didn't know. And a number of people are short-staffed, so they couldn't be here. During that, I think to Keith's point, I heard resounding desire to improve the processes and improve their, meaning each operator's approach. I guess you're right, James, it's a little bit of a rock in the hard place because one wants to act because you see a violation that we're all very concerned about. But I think I like Keith's idea of the meeting on Friday or Monday. I want to have everybody on notice, and I don't care whether you were found in violation or not, everybody's on notice. And so it's a little bit of the game's now on. Two, I do think we need to step up patrols and a violation check, if that's the right term. Three, I think to Keith's point, it's a team effort. The only way we're going to do this is every operator, every business working together on this. It won't be just a hammer. And what I guess I'd love to really understand is what is each establishment doing within their systems and their processes to improve? So if the, I'm going to just say, if the most of the serve is on a dock, is there a way to check that people aren't leaving that dock with drinks and walking onto public property? Or if it's, you know, you want to card people on the way in and give them wristbands, or if you, I mean, there's a million solutions. Each operator knows and can figure out what's best for them. But I think we need to understand that everybody is trying their best. And I think the last point I really want to make is we need to make sure that the press and that the people of Rhode Island understand that Block Island takes open containers and each establishment takes it very seriously. I truly believe that some of our advertising from some of the businesses doesn't quite convey that. And I think we need to make sure that at least everything in our power gets to informing the public, young and old, that we are getting this under control and that we have control. So those are the key things I would want to talk about in that meeting of Keith, or that is being discussed.
Okay, I'd like to say something.
Good. Martha.
I think as far as a meeting goes, I'm not really sure what the purpose of that is at this point. The folks on this list, and this list is public information. They all know who they are. I don't think there's anybody who wants to be on this list. I don't think there's anybody who wants their business to be represented as an irresponsible business. There is a kind of a, just a cursory look at it. It looks like geography is the biggest problem, the biggest space, the most numbers, the biggest issues you have. I mean, it's pretty obvious we've got some advertising issues. Honest to God, I don't see how anybody thinks they have to advertise liquor to come to Block Island. There are a couple of ads that run on television, and I'm baffled by them. I understand the idea is to put a hook out there, but it just doesn't seem like, you could advertise your businesses and have pretty good results without pushing the amount of alcohol you're serving getting here, or once you arrive here. I do think, and this comes back to a statement that was made earlier, we're not, what's really important, I think where we have been at fault in the last couple of years is we have a few people who try to focus very hard on one thing. And it's not one thing, it's not one place. And things spill over and everybody blames everybody else. It's a whole island. And we've seen it. Now, we saw the third special event license here tonight, and it's the third one we've denied. And you kind of figure people might get the hint after the second one, if not the first. I don't understand that. I don't understand a lot, I guess. I'm only reason I know people are really busy right now, as evidenced by the fact that not everybody's at this meeting. I really appreciate the people who got here, who made the effort to be here, and appreciate hearing from those who weren't able to, saying they couldn't. I think it's kind of like choosing a police chief. The folks who have the bars, the folks who hold the licenses, they've probably got a much better idea of how to contain this, how to stop this, than I'm ever going to have. And I just hope everybody takes this really, really seriously, because this happens a second time, it's going to be a pretty black mark.
Thank you, Martha. I agree with all my colleagues at the table. You know, you get to the point where you were pushing. Block Island's always been a party place, but let's face it. It's busier. It's a lot busier than it ever has been. So it's crazy. It's out of control. The advertising, I think the advertising is a huge issue. As Martha says, you know, advertising close-ups of, you know, cocktails, like, I don't think they need to do that. People are coming, masses of people are coming to your establishments. But again, I think it's the promotion of Block Island as a drinking spot. You know, again, people have always come out here and partied. That's what it was, but it's gotten out of hand. And like, just like on, and I will revert to 4th of July, I went down to town. Half the shops on Water Street were closed because there were just drunks and they're stealing from the shop owners. I mean, this is not the community that I don't think any of us in this room want to promote or be living in and have on our watch. But that's the case. That's actually what's going on. The sports shop was closed. People just get sick of it. So, I mean, again, there's this, I want to say, like we talked about during COVID, the social contract, we're all in this together, but some people don't want to some people don't just want to play. They're going to continue doing their thing. And as we get busier and busier, we thought the COVID summer was really bad. And I will disagree, Martha. I think it's just last weekend, people were referring to it as it was like VJ Day weekend with the clientele we had out here. People were awful. They were rude. They were drinking in public. Mary Ann has said she walked down the open containers. Again, I will reiterate, we need more. Our resources in our police force are already stretched. We're going to need, and I hope you guys consider this in the budget, and I know you will. I'm not trying to call you out on anything, but sometimes when budget season comes rolling around, we tend to forget, like, you know, the passions of the summer. But here we are, and you're going to need a lot more police to enforce the town's liquor laws, because, you know, people have contacted me all week since 4th of July. Why aren't you doing anything? Well, we have an enforcement arm. We are the Liquor Control Board on Block Island, and our enforcement arm is the police. The police have stepped up. Captain Chabot obviously did this. I expect this will continue, but we have to, again, it's like anything else, we have to provide the resources to our enforcement arm. The open containers. Are we more concerned about the traffic coming off the boat and directing that out and around town? Or are we going to use those resources to send into the bars for liquor things? Rescue's stretched with these violations. Land trust, you know, the land trust is involved in this because they've got property that they have to pay people to police and patrol, and they sent us just a letter, we will be discussing it, that they have to hire more. We're saturated. I don't think we can blame certain people in their business practices, but again, it's like a social contract to, it's Block Island. Like, we want to maintain the beauty, we want to maintain the laid backness of it, but like, we have the public drinking, it's out there, everybody sees it. But again, public keeps coming to us. What are you going to do? Our solution is more police. That's what we're going to need in order to enforce our laws, because we can do anything that that we want. And it may be ridiculous because we don't have the resources to provide us the facts of what's going on. We can't act as the Board of License Commissioners. I mean, a lot of people think we can, unless we have a complaint before us with facts before us. We can't have a show cause. We can, but it won't end well in our favor if we just throw a show cause hearing together to satisfy public demand. We were told last year we need more police officers, and that's going to be I think that's going to be the solution. I hate to sit here and say we need more police because I don't want to become a police state. But I think what we're going through now is we're so busy. I've seen the boats come in, thousands. I'm not blaming any Bill. I'm not blaming anybody, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people are coming here now. It's not like, when we all came here and the Black Island we all love. It's changed so much. We need that enforcement arm. Without the facts that they're going to provide for us, we can't act. I'm not going to act without the facts. The council can call a meeting and do whatever they want, but it won't end well for us. So those are my 2 cents. I'm going to ask the alcohol businesses to try to lay off the front and center advertising of the alcohol. You can do what you want, it's your right, but if there's a social contract to make this place and to keep this place the paradise that we all came here and stayed here for, it's a necessity. I'd like to just step up because we shouldn't have businesses closing on 4th of July because there's just too many drunks and they're stealing from them. It's preposterous. It's a long-winded response, but
Yeah, it is. And the 4th of July this year wasn't the first 4th of July by any means.
but
And
that
no,
was
no, no,
also,
Andre, you talked for a long time and nobody interrupted you.
okay, go ahead.
And I think this is the same thing we've done before. We focus on one thing. We focused on one bar. We focused on one business. We focused on one thing. And we're doing the same thing again.
No,
There is a
we're not
level, there
focusing
is
on
a,
one business.
excuse me,
We're not focusing on. one
I'm
business.
speaking.
But we're not focusing on what I'm correcting you.
I
We're not
said
focusing.
we have in the past.
Okay, you said we're doing it now, but go ahead. I'll let
I
you
said we're
finish.
doing the same thing because we're focusing now only on liquor. There is a level of incivility out there. We're probably witnessing it right now. I can't even talk without being interrupted. And anybody who drives on a public town road, I mean, I live on a public town road, and we always say, it's a dirt road, it goes to one of the beaches. And some of us who live down there always say, okay, 2 months out of the year, it's fine. We're gonna have the road graded, we're gonna have the road plowed. People just want to have a good time. And then you have the 5% of jerks who think it's a 2-lane highway, and that's what you remember at the end. So it's not just the liquor, it's there's a tone out here. And I have no idea how to ratchet this back, how to pull this down. But I think we're all kidding ourselves if we say, oh, it's the liquor. Oh, it's the advertising. Oh, it's the lack of police, which Vin Carlone was telling us how many years ago. I don't think I was even on the council when that was going on. And we get more police, and every year we get more police, and then we have more problems. And at some point, people are just got to take responsibility and behave.
I guess,
Hold on,
Mark.
you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second.
I heard Martha say, somebody say, not sure what a meeting will do. I think it'll do a lot. And I think it'll be a time where the establishments, the town, Keith mentioned rescue, police, can come together. I want to hear what hopefully everybody will be able to attend or come to a couple of meetings. I want to hear what people are doing. I don't have the silver bullet, but I'm pretty sure at establishment A, they're going to have one approach. Establishment B, they'll have another approach. And my goals would be to make sure that we're in compliance with the laws, and 2, that we ensure that people aren't leaving properties with drinks onto public land. And that's true of many, many establishments. So I'm not picking on any one. I think it's a time when we all share ideas, figure out how to do this as a community, work together at it. And by the way, still realize that there's a notice out there and that the line has been drawn. And whether your name is on this list or not, doesn't matter. Sort of everybody's gotten 2 strikes, 3 strikes is a bad day. And I think we need to prepare for that as a town. But I would love to attend a meeting with as many operators as possible, and we can all learn together and figure out how to do this, and the chief and others, if that's possible.
I just want to comment on that, on a meeting. I think we need to ask don't say we're going to have it on Monday. We want to write to the establishments and ask them to join us and find out when somebody in end of July or August is available, so somebody could send a representative. If you want to have that meeting, we need to be flexible with the establishments, to see if they want to come and attend. And I think we should get the feedback from them. We want to have that. Not sure if setting a date, because I mean, it is July. I mean, a lot of people cannot send, and I just, as people, because of this, for whatever reason. And I don't want that to be held against them if they don't come.
Sure.
That's how I think that should go down. But
I don't think we can wait.
I'll defer to the majority. And that's a big gift.
My, I suggest it, so I'll, defend it. I tend to be a pretty big believer in tone, and I think it's hard to say, it would be hard for someone to say that the tone hasn't been a little off this year. So to me, a meeting and conversation like this, whether somebody in particular can make it or not, it's not going to be held against them. It's not, but we better work on this as a community because the tone's wrong. And to me, if this is an opportunity to set the tone, then we ought to do it, and we ought to do it soon. It's not punitive. Maybe people will walk away shaking their heads. I don't have any, I don't run a bar. I don't run a police force. I don't run a town. I think if we're going to solve this, it's going to take everybody. And we ought to demonstrate as a community that what we're seeing is problematic, and perhaps there are ideas about there how to about interventions we can make. Thank you.
Comments from the public? Patrick,
Who's in violation?
microphone. There's a public document up on Dirt ClerkBase with the complaint.
Who's in violation?
Hold on a minute. Let me get it up.
Do we want to explain this, exactly what happened? I think that might make everything clear.
So what happened was,
Can you pull your microphone closer, Maria?
yeah.
And we'll tell you, we'll tell you.
So what happened was the chief had a compliance check. And what the compliance check was for serving of underage individuals. They went into 7 establishments on Saturday.
Random.
Of this, random, that's correct, all random. Of the 7, 6 were non-compliant. They went into 6 establishments on Sunday. Of the 6, 2 were non-compliant. So the ones that were non-compliant, I guess what the established served without identification or proof of age is what it's called. Ballard's Beach Club, National Surf Hotel, Beachhead, Champlain's, the Oar. This is on Saturday. The one that was, that refused to serve because they didn't have the required identification, proof of age, was the Harborside. On the 17th, on Sunday, establishments that served without identification, proof of age, Ballard's and the Oar. Establishments refused to serve that required identification, proof of age, Harborside National, Mahogany Shoals, and Champlain's.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. And it's, by the way, that's up on ClerkBase for anybody. You can see the whole document there.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, if any of the businesses have any thoughts about this meeting and whether it would be a good idea or not helpful, obviously it's a busy time. Would love to get any input on that.
Any more public comment?
I'll be real quick. I think it's an excellent idea. I think you should do it as soon as possible. And, hopefully everyone can attend. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Steve.
Same thing here. I think it's a great idea. I mean, we've got all sorts of things that we've been putting in place this year. Obviously, we succeeded once and didn't succeed the other time, but we're trying really hard. And I'd love to hear what other people are doing because we all work together. It's important. As a mother of a teenager, quite frankly, I care.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, just to add to that, just check IDs, be vigilant with the IDs.
Chris Serrano.
Chris, you have a comment? Chris, you have a hand up?
You did.
Thanks.
Chris Sereno, National. I've been managing bars out here for 42 years. And, you know, maybe Billy can help me. And nobody understands budgets better than me. And I agree with, you know, one in the middle over here, Andre. You know, what I saw the best years ago, Billy, and before Billy, is there's always time to send two people just to pop in. And they would be able to tell you, is there a young crowd or not a young crowd? Are the people out of control? It takes 2 minutes, a minute. He did it for years. I would see him almost every day, pop in, or his people. It's a big help for us because we do what we can. And to send one person in, you know, it's like shooting a bolt. Sooner or later, you're going to hit somebody, and they could look 22. And I probably have a staff serving alcohol, 60 people, and I can't hit it 100 times. And we preach. Julie Fuller is great. She's in there every day telling people, you got a card, you got a card, you got a card. And some of these people are 19 years old themselves, and they're afraid. And we still kick them in the butt. So I agree with Andre. You know, whether it's a little bit of budget next year, I don't think it would take too much for them to just pop in when they're not busy. We're not talking every night, but just to see who's out of control, you know, who's being young, because it's not me. We do our best. I think we're all doing our best. And I'm definitely for a meeting, you know, Monday, Tuesday. Let's do it. Nothing's more important until somebody gets killed. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Ross from but we're definitely for a meeting, especially just learning about different types of technology, scanners, different stuff that some people might be doing that we might have access to. You know, we have all the books, everyone's tip certified, but other companies that are bigger and dealing with more, then we'd definitely be happy to hear everyone's opinions.
Thank you, Rose. Bill?
I think the bottom line is you'll get much farther working together with responding businesses. They always have. And any business that doesn't, that tries to shortcut it, it stands out real quick. Like Chris said, all that. We're gonna get farther working together. I think the meeting would be beneficial to that area. And if there's a liquor license holder that is, you know, flagrant about not having dog people and so forth, the police department will know right away. They can handle it from that end of it. But I think, like Chris said, I think you're gonna get much farther. There'll always be young people drinking and so forth. You're gonna get much farther with the businesses. And I would say 98% of the businesses out there are responsible. We will be responsible. And you'll get farther working together with the police department. Thank you.
And in part, that's why I called everybody so that everybody would at least know about this meeting and not feel surprised.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Stan. Is there any more public comment on the topic? I want to thank you all for attending. And I want to thank you all for taking these extra steps to make sure that, you know, the alcohol is not getting in minors' hands. It happened to me when I was working at the alley. I served a minor and I got caught. Cops came in, you know, but it never happened again. So, I appreciate Chief Pete's effort. These efforts will continue. I think it's a start. Any other comments? Thank you all. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve.
What's the process?
An email about
meeting.
for a meeting?
Yeah.
I would certainly like Mary Ann to send out a meeting. Oh, well,
No, the clerk.
Yeah.
It's the clerk.
to send out a meeting to the businesses and find out, I mean, give some dates. And a narrow dates, I guess. I just want to make sure everybody's aware they can send,
Yeah, we can certainly take care of that. My sense is not to reach out to businesses to ask them to.
Right, no.
Because you're gonna have 30 minutes. I think that we can set a date and put it out there and hope that maybe businesses can have a representative.
Yeah, I think you just have to set a date. because otherwise it's chaos.
Have a preference in timing during the day or?
After 5.
Ooh, that's the bad.
I'm fine with after 5.
How about early?
Sooner than later.
It all depends on the day. Sometimes I can get away in midweek. You all understand staffing issues, so those are mine.
Personally, I think, yeah, this is probably like plenty of time.
Would that work?
Lunch before dinner.
I'll accommodate that if it's early in the week. Sorry?
Monday. Monday.
No, like,
Monday, Sam?
well, what, Monday or
No,
what?
Monday.
Tuesday's not the slow day anymore
Monday.
that we
Let's
all
shoot
used
for
to
Monday.
take off.
Monday.
James?
Just beware of a quorum for open meetings purposes.
Well, we'll call the meeting though.
Okay,
It will
it'd be an official meeting. Okay.
Yeah, it'll have to be official. Yeah.
Monday, the 25th, Wednesday, the 27th,
Monday, the 25th. 3?
3, 2, 3.
Ross?
3's
anybody?
best.
Can we be clear,
Chris?
can we be clear on the agenda? Because if the folks who are doing this and have ideas that they're going to share, great. I don't want to listen to us.
Yeah.
I'm willing to write an agenda tonight and just pass it around to everybody that we can get to Millie, if that would help. Or give it to Millie and she can get your feedback. I mean, I think it's 4 bullet points. It's pretty simple.
Send them to Millie tomorrow.
I will send it to Millie for first thing in the morning. She can go from there. Today's Wednesday. So
Yes, I have to post it tomorrow by 3.
you'll have it by the time you get in.
Fantastic.
You'll have it tonight, but you don't have to look.
We good on the topic?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I gotta go find the agenda again. Jessica Willie?
You might want to make sure the police can be there before you, I mean, it's pointless without.
Yeah, absolutely. And you.
You stepped up to the mic, so you must attend also. All right. Item number 12 on our agenda is to approve the minutes of June 29th, 2022 and July 5th of 2022. I will make a motion to approve the minutes of June 29th.
Second.
Seconded by Sven. All those in favor? Martha? And Keith?
Yes.
I am in favor. Sven?
Okay.
Motion carries 4-0. Make a motion to approve the minutes of July 5th,
Second.
2022. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
Martha?
Aye.
I'm in favor. Sven?
I accept that it didn't say that Bill McComb signed up for Deer Task Force. No, that was
Because
a
I
joke.
haven't paid attention. Motion carries 4-0. Wow.
That's it.
I'll give you the honor.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor, Keith? Martha?
Yes.
I am certainly in favor.
Aye.
Motion carries. Everybody have a good night.